Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're located. This is Bob Woelflein with PSR. Thank you for taking the time to join our webinar today to discuss Canonical Ubuntu for IBM Z and LinuxONE. PSR is an IBM business partner focused on IBM Z and LinuxONE. In addition to servers and storage, we provide systems programming services and hosting throughout the United States. Canonical has been providing Linux support for IBM Z and LinuxONE worldwide since 2016. They have an economical and compelling long-term support model for both IFLs and System Z. On System Z, I'm pleased to introduce Lorenzo Cavassa, Canonical Field Engineer, and Regis Paquette, Global Vice President for Canonical. If you have any questions during today's webinar, there is an icon on your screen which will make me aware, and we can attempt to answer as many as possible. If we run out of time, there will be another opportunity to ask a question with a follow-up email that you'll receive, and I will pass them on to Lorenzo and Regis. I'll now turn the presentation over to Lorenzo and Regis Paquette. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. This is Regis. Thanks for the time and the opportunity to talk today. I'm indeed running global alliances at Canonical, the company behind Ubuntu, which is a project that is fully open source and that we support since its inception. As was said, we've enjoyed a long-lasting relationship with IBM globally around power systems, public cloud. I mean, all IBM Public Cloud is still 100% built on Ubuntu for the ones who don't know. And since 2016, with IBM Z and LinuxONE, where we really started the partnership, and that has been just growing from there. Just a quick note about Ubuntu. We've been much more recent than other available distributions on Z. At the time, we were really focused on becoming the de facto standard for developers, specifically on all workstation and laptops. I think we have now a vast dominance of Ubuntu on all that space, but also on public cloud, which is, I think, talking to a lot of interesting use cases for Z as well, right? I mean, I think what we see in the partnership between Ubuntu and Z is, the best way to combine the most secure way to operate in cloud with the mainframe and the all security that comes with it. And with Ubuntu as the partner for that machine, you bring on top of security the way to bring all the latest of innovation of open source with us, right? And because we are the dominant player on public cloud, think of also outside IBM, the AWS, Google and Azure clouds, 70% of all their workloads are really Ubuntu. There's no other Linux distro that comes any close to where we are there. I mean, all the cloud native environment of those clouds are built natively on Ubuntu. So I think when you think about, Ubuntu on mainframe, you should also keep that. Anything you're going to do there is de facto hybrid in nature, in the sense of the tooling, the operating system, the security that we baked into it is going to be available across hybrid environment. Just want to make one point out of the bat. I mean, Lorenzo is obviously going to dig into the technical differentiators that we've brought to the platform, but high level, I think in the past 2 years, clearly huge collaboration on, secure service containers, and beyond that, the trusted execution environment were the key, highlights that we brought out of the bat with our latest release, 2004, that was now in April, meaning you've got the ability to use that as a general purpose Linux to bring the best-in-class security for not just Linux and Ubuntu, but open source. I hope that's something you'll hear about us, which is, it's good to have a Linux that is secured, but it's even better to get all the open source apps that are consuming Linux, things of, database as a service, things of the logging, monitoring, alerting, tooling that you use on top of the Kafkas, right, the Redises, that are also going to come secured by default because of what Ubuntu is now bringing as a value add in its environment. Last but not least, before I hand over to Lorenzo, is about our economic model. We've always been known to be, delivering the best economics for cloud. That's true in public cloud, but that's also true in private cloud. I'm talking x86 world. Here we've been like better and better over the years because we have a model that's very different from any other distribution out there. First, we are the only open source alternative in the sense that the license itself is not paid for. This is really the support, so you can really have lots of labs, at no cost for whatever you're doing. But more importantly, on the commercial side of things, when you grow your business, a lot of competition where pricing per socket, per cores, we do price per server, and actually we also did have similar approach with Z, right? We had a drawer pricing that makes us, very friendly over time for people in business, because as the machines have more cores or more power, you don't increase the cost of supporting Ubuntu and Canonical in that type of solutions. And where we are already very attractive on x86, I think the ratio in terms of cost of platform to the software stack is even more interesting on Z in terms of the value you're getting. So we created just 2 SKU. Just I want to throw that because this is public information. We charge $4,000 yearly to support an IFL and 19.5, so less than 20K a year to support a full drawer. And with that amount of money, you're not just getting Linux, to be clear. You're getting everything else that Lorenzo is going to talk about, which is the security for all open source. You can get also a cloud native environment out of the bat, like think of all the Kubernetes automation and the tooling, the sort of operator framework that you've heard also probably about that comes with it. You've got the ability to get the OpenStack. OpenStack is the sort of open source alternative to VMware in around the globe, right? Where Canonical has been very successful. We've deployed more than 100 of them in the past 18 months across the globe. That's also available on Z. We actually are the only distribution that provides that on Z, right? And also hypervisors that can run both VMs and containers, Legacy in particular. All of that is available for that same amount of money. There's no extra charge if you want to move from Linux to bring security, to bringing containers, to bringing OpenStack. You get it all of that at that unbeatable, I would say, market price. So with that, I want to leave time now for Lorenzo to run you through the sort of more technical features and advantages that you get with Ubuntu.
Okay, thank you very much, Regis. You already did a lot. And so let's get started to talk about Ubuntu server, from a technical perspective. So as Regis mentioned, Canonical started to support and provide an Ubuntu release for the Z architecture back in 2016 with Ubuntu 16.04. This was the first Ubuntu operating system release available on Z and LinuxONE platform. So there are many Ubuntu on Z. Sorry, there is a mission and a philosophy, as you can read in the slide. So there are many reasons to use Ubuntu on Z. Look, Ubuntu is a Linux-based operating system, is an open source operating system. You can use and consume it for free on another platform. What you can get from Canonical is just the support, or better, the whole support for the entire platform. Running Ubuntu on Z, you get an operating system which is identical to on any architecture supported by Ubuntu. And we are talking about Intel machines, IBM Power Architecture, ARM, ARM, and also LinuxONE. Z and LinuxONE. We provide, as Canonical, we provide a specific release cadence of the Ubuntu operating system. you already know from the starting point that every 2 years you can get a long-term support Ubuntu release. The latest this year has been released this year back in May is the 2004 focal fossa, and in 2 years there is a specific roadmap. In 2 years, there will be the next LTS long-term support release, which is, or better, as all the LTS releases are supported for up to 10 years by Canonical. Means that you can start to play with Ubuntu and use and consume Ubuntu Server 2004 now with your Z or LinuxONE platform, and you can get support for up to 10 years before to have to move to a more recent release of the Ubuntu operating system. This is very important because in this way you can also better schedule all the maintenance and upgrade operations, and you can better plan the way to do that. Ubuntu 24 LTS, long-term release, long-term support, sorry. Focal fossa is the name. Any Ubuntu release comes with a number, which is the year and the month when the operating system is released, and also a name which changes with any release. So this is a short list of the major software components available with Ubuntu 2004. So as you can see, we are talking about the kernel, the Linux kernel, QEMU, QAVM, OpenSSL. These are many tools available. And again, you get on Z, you get the same Ubuntu server, the Ubuntu server release you can get on an Intel platform. So the environment are identical. You can develop your application. You can then cross-compile or compile your application on the Z platform to get the same application properly working. And this is what we as Canonical provide. Canonical is the company behind Ubuntu. We offer the operating system. We offer the support for the operating system. And we work strictly with IBM in order to try to get all the new capability of the Z platforms in our case, for example, the Z15 platform, and it's one available through the operating system. This year with Ubuntu Server 24 focal fossa, we released an operating system which fully supports Z15, which is the latest architecture, Z architecture provided by IBM. More important, supports all the advanced encryption and security capabilities provided by the Z15 platform. Especially, we can talk about the expanded hardware support, Crypto Express, secure execution, and TEE, trusted execution environment, which support the full KVM guest isolation. And this is fully supported, immediately available on Ubuntu on Z. Then there are other features, kernel optimization and so on, which are specifically designed to get the best from the Ubuntu server operating system on Z. There is an upgrade path available. So you install 1804 in the past, maybe 2 years ago, you started with 1804. Now you can upgrade in a very seamless way to 2004 because there is an upgrade path. This means that you can upgrade your operating system and your platform in a very easy and conservative way. LTS releases, as we said, every 2 years. The LTS releases, they come with new kernels, and there is a schedule also for the kernel releases included in the Ubuntu long-term support releases. So right now with focal fossa, the general availability kernel releases the 5.4. Then we'll migrate through the point releases, which are other releases of the same operating system released every 6 months until the next LTS Ubuntu release will be available in 2 years. And these point releases basically are just updates because through the 2 years, of course, the operating system is updated by Canonical. Canonical release software packages in order to keep you, in order to get you able to keep your system updated in terms of features, new releases of the single packages, and also security fixes. And the point releases are just a sort of collection, interim collection between the current LTS release and the next one. In this way, you can seamless move from the 2004 to the 2204 in 2 years, just upgrading point release to point release. Where you can run Ubuntu server on a S396 architecture. You can install it as a native operating system in a logical partition. You can use it as a ZVM guest. You can install it in a KVM virtual machine on the host into an LPAR. So you can install Ubuntu in the LPAR and then run the KVM hypervisor and then run Ubuntu as a guest in KVM. Can be run as a container. So Ubuntu can be run as an LXD system container, can be run as a Docker Kubernetes container then. And the hardware platform supported by Ubuntu certified better. These are so we have the Z15, Z14, Z13, and then the LinuxONE 3, Emperor, and Emperor 2, Emperor. These are the certified. We know that Ubuntu properly works on these machines. Have been tested. So this is a certified environment, and we know that is supported and properly works. There are many ways to deploy the Ubuntu server operating system on the Z machine. So I want to go fast because we have many slides, but I can provide you all the information afterwards, so you can come back and then ask. So many ways in order to provide you with flexibility. There are many hypervisors supported by Ubuntu, and so one of the most interesting one is the LXD hypervisor. This is a system or machine container hypervisor which comes with Ubuntu. It allows you to spawn KVM virtual machines or system containers, leveraging on the same set of APIs. So you have a single entry point, a single endpoint, and you can decide to create a new KVM machine if you want, or a system container. The difference here is that the KVM machine, a KVM machine is a guest which relies on the segregation capabilities provided by the KVM hypervisor, where the LXD hypervisor, the system container relies on the segregation capabilities provided by the Linux kernel. We are talking about C groups, seccomp, network namespaces, and so on. So as you know, the Linux kernel started some years ago to provide containerization capabilities, and these are the same. LXD relies on the same capabilities provided by the Linux kernel, which are also the ones used by Docker and also by Kubernetes for Kubernetes containers, for example. LXD is very powerful, comes for free, or better, comes included with Ubuntu server, allows you to create clusters on many machines, to create cluster of LXD containers. It comes now with OVN networking. So this is an SDN tool which allows you to segregate your LXD hypervisor, to have a multiple end user able to work with within specific resources assigned to the user, and then allowed to create a specific number of system containers or virtual machine to consume the resources available to them. So OVN provides a way to segregate the networks. So a tenant, an end user, can create one or several networks which are completely segregated from all the others. And also there is an RBAC, role-based access management, which allows to segregate the rights, what an end user can do or cannot do on the hypervisor. As as Regis said, on Z we also provide OpenStack, our solution of OpenStack, which is charmed, the charmed OpenStack, charmed because it leverages on Juju. Juju is an automation tool provided by Canonical, which comes for free with Ubuntu. You can use it for free. And then through Juju, you can deploy an OpenStack cloud on top of a Z machine. And in our case, for example, the control plane of OpenStack is completely deployed leveraging on LXD containers, so system machine containers on top of an LXD hypervisor, because they provide security, flexibility, provides also a way to migrate, to create a snapshot and restore it, and so on. Everything is already included in the subscription, in the Ubuntu Advantage subscription, which is the support subscription we offer. Same for Kubernetes. Our solution of Kubernetes is 100% compatible with the upstream one. So we don't add anything, we don't remove anything. It's a certified Kubernetes solution. Is deployable on Z using Juju again, and everything is already supported and comes supported under UA for infrastructure. Canonical automation portfolio. So there are two tools, three tools in our case, but there is a provisioning tool, MAS, and a software modeling tool, which is Juju. Both come with Ubuntu Server. MAS is a provisioning tool that on a Z machine, for example, allows you to spawn KVM virtual machines or many LPARs, for example, and then which provides automation. You can interact with MAS using the API set. The API set. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
okay,
I can hear you, Lorenzo.
Okay, sorry, because I powered off my tablet and then I was not sure it was still able to hear me. Okay, MAS allows you to provide, for example, to automate the provisioning of KVM guest on one or more LPARs, for example. And then provisioning means install a Linux-based operating system into the KVM guest. And so this provides a very good way to automate your deployments. And through the set of API it provides, you can interact with it using the command line, also third-party tool, such as Juju. Juju is a software modeling tool, allows you to deploy, helps you to deploy complex applications such as OpenStack, Kubernetes, but also Hadoop, Cassandra, whatever you want. If this has been charmed, you can deploy it and manage the life cycle of the application through Juju. Landscape is a tool to help you to manage, keep your systems, Ubuntu systems, machines, so system containers, KVM, guest, or LPARs updated. Okay, sorry, I have to go. Okay, I can provide you all the information about MAS and Juju afterwards, so feel free to come back asking me. I want to move fast now because, okay, yes, Juju is the services modeling tool. There are many applications can be deployed and managed. The life cycle of the application can be managed easily through Juju. Juju can perfectly work with IBM Z and Ubuntu on top of it. Can be integrated with MAS, as I said, can be integrated with an LXD hypervisor in order to allow you to deploy applications into system containers or KVM machines spawned and provisioned by MAS. Allows also to reuse the design of the application you wanted to deploy using Juju, to reuse it across many clouds. Juju works with local clouds, LXD clouds. MAS can works also with Google, Azure, IBM clouds, OpenStack, Kubernetes, and so it provides you a way to interact with many different cloud technologies and public clouds in the same way you did on your machine to test your application, to test the charm you developed for your application. So this can be deployed on an LPAR, can be deployed on a machine container, an LXD1, can be deployed on a KVM guest, can be deployed on an OpenStack cloud, can be deployed on an IBM cloud, can be deployed on Google Cloud. And nothing changes. You are using and reusing the same charm you deployed, you prepared for one time only. Security, this is a very important aspect because we spend and we invest a lot in the security, I mean in the security of the Ubuntu operating system, the Woelflein, but especially to leverage on the hardware cryptography capabilities provided by Z, and to provide encryption at the rest and encryption in flight. So basically you can encrypt the partition on your disk or the partitions on your disk. We also introduced the secure boot with Z15 and Ubuntu 24, and also, protect the data in flights, leveraging again on the accelerator available on the Z platform. Secure boot, again, this is data on rest, encryption of the data on rest. More important, secure execution. With 24, we are able to leverage on the trusted execution environment provided by the Z15 machine. So the KVM guest rely on the assisted guest memory encryption and state protection provided by the hardware itself. And then there are Ubuntu security features which are more generic because we are really looking, we are keep to invest to maintain the operating system really secure and provide all the fixes when it comes to fix the kernel or the packages. Security certification, this is important. For Z, Ubuntu has been certified for FIPS and DISA and CIS. And so these are available for free with Ubuntu Server and Ubuntu Advantage for infrastructure. This is the support program. We want to keep, as Canonical, we want to keep the whole system secure and updated. We provide more than 60,000 packages in our repositories, which are available on Z as well. Through this extended security maintenance program, we keep the system updated in terms of security for up to 10 years, and we provide the updates when needed. Key value proposition, as Regis has already mentioned. The whole point here is you buy the support for the single Z machine. You get the support for all the guests, all the Ubuntu guests, no matter if these are KVM machines, LPARs, or system containers, which run on top of the Z platform. Basically you pay one price only to get the whole support on the entire stack. I'm sorry for this. The Ubuntu operating system, the Ubuntu operating system into any LPAR, the Ubuntu operating system into any KVM machine running on top of any Ubuntu installed on an LPAR. You get support for Kubernetes, you get support for Juju, for Mass, for OpenStack, and for all the packages, more than 60,000 packages available on Ubuntu server on Z. That's it. Okay.
Can you hear me? Oh, this is,
yes.
Hey, Lorenzo, this is Bob. Thank you for that. It's pretty in-depth. I wasn't aware of the LXD support.
Yes.
We did have one question come in. I think it's maybe answered in the slide that you have up now regarding like the support. So it was, if you have a machine with, say 12 or 30 IFLs per drawer, would it be supported for that same price of 19,500? And looks like
yes, that's how crazy good it is. Yes.
So if you had for instance, on a Z15, a TO2 versus a TO1 with, larger drawers on the TO1, it's the same price. You just get a
The price of a drawer is the price of a drawer, regardless of the version of the machine. So yes, it would be the same price. If it's one drawer, it's one drawer.
Yes.
Okay, that is pretty good. Okay, so the LXD support. So that's just, for my own knowledge, that's just common across the cloud. So used in, say, Amazon or IBM Cloud or Azure, right? So it makes things seamless as far as container virtualization.
Sorry, what you mean?
So the Linux, the LXD
Yes.
hypervisor, right?
Yes.
So it can be used in public clouds as well.
Yes, of course, because LXD runs on top of Ubuntu. And so if you install Ubuntu server on a KVM machine, for example, on a public cloud, on a guest, on a public cloud, you get LXD. And then LXD is a system container, machine containers hypervisor, which runs on top of Ubuntu. So no matter where Ubuntu server has been installed, it can perfectly work. KVM machine, virtual machine, or physical machine, public cloud, private cloud, wherever it works. Yes, and
Okay.
this is already supported with Ubuntu, of course. And basically means, for example, you have one LPAR. You install Ubuntu server into that LPAR. Then you start your LXD hypervisor. You can, LXD provides you a way to split the whole space available in the LPAR, if you want, the resources available to the LPAR, to split it in many different projects. Means that you have, I don't know, a RAM site which is available to the LPAR and this space available to the LPAR, you can split it, create some limits, and then for any of the projects you create in the LXD hypervisor. So you split the whole space available to the LPAR in many projects. You split the resources available in many projects. The projects belong. Any project belong to a customer or an end user. The end user can spawn system containers or virtual machines in the subspace available to him into the LXD hypervisor, okay? And then means that any Ubuntu guest created using LXD, for example, is supported under UEFI infrastructure and works as a system container or as a virtual machine spawned by the Linux, the LXD hypervisor. So yes, it works everywhere. And is a very good way if you want to, let's say, not yet create a cloud, but if you want to provide a fast way to very effective to spawn and create system containers, LXD is the right tool and the right system for you. It's very effective because also in terms of resources, being that it leverages on the confinement capabilities provided by Linux kernel. This is not a virtual machine. It's something similar, but it's faster when it comes to spawn the machine or run a snapshot or restore the snapshot, for example. So there are many advantages, and also LXD has many features. I can provide you all the technical information afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
So
great.
Just drop me an email, and I provide you pointers, documentation, and if there are any technical questions, I'm more than happy to answer and to provide you support.
Okay. So Lorenzo, thank you so much. Regis, thank you so much for joining. If there are any follow-up questions, again, you'll get an email and you can send them to me, or up on the screen now, I have my contact information and Lorenzo's email address to reach out if there's anything else we can provide. So thank you all for joining today, and this concludes our webinar with
Thank you very
Canonical
much.
Ubuntu.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.